Things are different in 2025. Divorce is different. Healing and moving on after divorce is different. We're living in a kind of wild time in a lot of senses. Divorce today is often impacted or even driven by things like quickly changing political views or dramatically differing political views that develop between spouses that maybe originated back in 2020 with COVID and have kind of festered and fostered since then. We're also seeing more and more divorces that are due to mental health crises. We can't discount the impact of depression and a general disillusionment about the future and the prospects for humanity. A lot of people are feeling a lot of despair around our future as a whole, not just individually. And then, of course, we have a lot of online fear-based content that is driving very intense conversations about things like narcissism, emotional abuse, controlling and toxic relationships. And it's really fueling this gender war that can feel very hot and very aggressive, especially in a lot of online spaces. All of this doesn't just impact a woman's decision to file for divorce, it also impacts the healing and moving forward process for a lot of men. For men who are trying to heal and move forward from an unwanted separation or divorce in 2025, they're going to find themselves just inundated with fear-based content around hypergamy, limerence, MGTOW, red pill narratives, and of course the narcissism and emotional abuse on the other shoe now towards women. And there's also a lot of content out there on things like covert narcissism. But the fact that we're more connected right now than we've ever been before in human history, it's not all fear and despair. There is also an opportunity here for a deeper level of healing and a higher quality of relationship than I think has ever been available to humans before either. Healing from divorce in 2025 is very different than it was just a few years ago. As a divorce coach who specifically works with men going through unwanted separations and divorces, I've seen some big shifts. And the biggest shift that I've seen is that the men I'm working with now are not just healing and moving forward from their divorce. They are healing wounds that are much older than the divorce itself. They're using the pain of divorce to finally identify and fix problems, injuries to themselves emotionally that they've been carrying for their whole lives, things that have been limiting them, limiting their relationships, limiting their careers, limiting their happiness for decades. In 2025, every man I work with is going deeper than the divorce. They're going back so much further. They're using this as an opportunity to heal childhood trauma, to heal from sexual abuse, to heal emotional wounds from earlier relationships, to heal deeply buried shame and self-esteem issues that have been causing them to play small, hold back, hide, or suppress aspects of themselves for their entire lives. They are getting to the root of codependent behaviors. They are finding and identifying attachment wounds, and they're actually healing those attachment wounds to become securely attached and capable of very rich and healthy relationships. They are identifying and breaking generations-long cycles of emotional suppression. And in the process, they are becoming self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and incredibly powerful. And all of this is only possible because of the times we live in. Because now, in 2025, we have more research, a better understanding of the impact of a trauma history on our attachment styles and our ability to relate and to connect to others than we've ever had before. We no longer assume that somebody's bad or aggressive behavior means that they are a bad person. Instead, we can recognize somebody's mistakes as the actions of a person who is acting out of fear. And we have tools to regulate a human nervous system so that you can actually change those behaviors. Things that people used to think were part of their personality, we're now able to recognize as coping mechanisms and defense mechanisms that were learned long ago and that are not rigid. These are all things that can be changed and healed. Here's what healing from divorce and moving on really looks like in 2025. Although I may be crying, I'm overjoyed to be here. I'm feeling happiness, confidence, belief return to my being. I know there will be more sadness ahead, but since we started, I am noticing the change and the power emotions had and have over me. I think about that day in July when we first talked and how I am now. Back then, I would have and probably did say that today was impossible. One day this week, I briefly had a memory resurface shared with my ex-wife. It made me happy and not triggered to sadness and despair. Healing can happen, but you must commit without fear. You must do the work with belief and trust. Emotions are good, all of them, but they must be heard, and you have to have a real relationship with them. That is how they do not overwhelm, and the man you know you are can show up and be present and regain his belief. Here's another man in Better Be Undivorced. He says, "Hi, Rachel. I woke up with a lot of anxiety today. I sat in my chair and took deep breaths and reassured myself that everything is fine, and after about an hour or so, I was able to get the anxiety to go away. I thought that was pretty good. I feel like I'm gaining control of my thoughts and feelings, and I'm now able to go out and enjoy my day. I also think the whole rest of my life will probably be much different, because if I run around rushing to get things done, I'll fall right back into the same problems. I'm starting to think that this is part of me learning how to take care of myself, and that I can't just keep going like I was in my 20s. This is a theme I hear again and again from the men I work with, that the work we're doing is not just about the divorce. It's much, much older. Here's one other gentleman talking about the same experience. He says, Rachel, you should know that your knowledge and teachings are absolutely life-changing. I continue to improve and feel better. I've kind of wondered and thought back at the idea of how long I have felt poorly about myself prior to starting your class or even the divorce process. Many of the thoughts and feelings I am recognizing are inside of me are not new from the divorce. I believe they are old and have probably been dragging me down for some time, even years. And what's maybe the most inspiring thing that I see in men that are actually doing the work to heal more than just the divorce and really move forward in a way that wasn't possible for them even before it, to really get better beyond this divorce, which is what so many men are doing here in 2025. The most inspiring part to me is when they can recognize that opportunity and feel gratitude for it. Here's one other client who says, well, I'm glad I'm on this journey from the perspective that I know I'm making huge strides from where I was 6 months ago. It has been painful. It has been hard. It has been humbling. And as strange as this may sound, it has been liberating. While I mourn and grieve the breakup of my marriage, as it is without a doubt the most painful and excruciating thing that has ever happened in my lifetime, I know it was necessary in order for me to grow and become a better man. I've been stuck for a long, long time. And if this is what it took to get me unstuck, well, then I have to look at it as a positive. Still doesn't take the hurt away because I still carry that every single day, but I know now I can and will emerge a better man. These men, they're not just healing from the divorce, they're identifying and healing internal wounds that have been interfering with their relationships. It's been dictating the way that they cope, the way they handle their emotions, the way they communicate, the way they connect. And because they're addressing these wounds, they are going to transform their lives. They are dealing with the root causes of the patterns of codependency, attachment wounds, and limiting beliefs that contributed to toxic cycles within their marriages and led to divorce. And when I see men doing this, it just blows me away because one, it's just incredibly inspiring to watch, but it allows them to do two really impressive things. First, it gives them the ability to genuinely like and even love themselves so that they can feel comfortable alone without any feelings of shame or guilt or regret or that constant nagging of a critical inner voice. And the second thing that this empowers them to do is to meet women who are actually good for them and form healthy, stable relationships where they feel loved, respected, and seen. If that's what you want to, and you're ready to make it happen in 2025, then come with me into my free masterclass, How to Take Back Control of Your Life After Divorce, and let's get started. The fight or flight response that you experience when you go through an unwanted divorce is not a voluntary response. It's not something you can just shut off. The impact of being in that involuntary state for too long can be really devastating. We're talking overwhelming emotions, shaking, heart palpitations, lashing out in rage, shutting down and withdrawing, being unable to show up at work, struggling to be present with your children, and finding yourself unable to trust or feel safe in the world. And all of these symptoms, they are not mental. This is part of a specific set of physiologic changes that happen in your body when you go into a fight or flight response. They happen when your nervous system is activated, and the symptoms go away when your nervous system comes back into balance. If you want to get off the emotional roller coaster, if you want to stop the intrusive and ruminating thoughts so that you can be really present with your kids, still be successful in your career, make sound legal decisions, and really be capable of moving forward from the separation or divorce, it is essential that you learn to effectively regulate your nervous system. And that's exactly what I'll teach you how to do inside my free masterclass. So just type masterclass into the comments below this video, and I will send you this free tutorial on effective nervous system regulation.